Yo, welcome everybody back to the JV Sports Room. As usual, your host, JDino, the other half of the team behind the scenes, my man Vince.
Yeah.
We here for another good week of football, but I told you guys we were bringing some experts in. We got my man Greg back for another one.
Yes, sir.
Tampa Bay fan, in case you guys forgot. And Mr. Patriot Bling, John, back for another one.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back, gentlemen. Hey, man, so we had another miraculous comeback by Mr. Tom Brady himself. So we're going to kick it off in the NFC South. We told them that we're going to break down all 32 teams, but we're just going to break down all 8 divisions. That's cool with you guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's kick it off in the NFC South with that huge Monday night win against the rival New Orleans Saints. Tom Brady comes back again, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that game. Talk to me about this division right now, gentlemen.
Hey, the division comes through Tampa again.
It does.
Just like we all thought this year. I mean, 6-6. The only thing you can say is at least our division is not good. With that being said, we have pretty much a free ride. If we win the games we should win, we got San Francisco with a rookie quarterback next week. That's going to be still a defense that nobody wants to face. But,
true indeed.
But outside of that, I think that, we sneak into the playoffs. And once we get there, nobody wants to see Brady in the playoffs.
Facts.
I think everybody wants to see Brady in the playoffs right now. The way he's playing, he barely throws a touchdown a game at this point. And listen, love the guy. Going to love him for the rest of my life.
We're going to see Belichick in the playoffs?
I appreciate Brady's service. But listen, we got to change some rules in the NFL here. If you have a losing record, if you have a 500 record, you shouldn't be making the playoffs.
Yeah, this is just the worst division in football, hands
down. So we
down.
can't win the next 4 games?
Very unlikely.
Now, when we won the Super Bowl in 2020, what was our record 12 games in?
7. Well, we'll see. We'll see if you have a winning record first when it comes down to week 17.
Different.
We'll see.
One game different.
This is true. I mean, this last game, Brady said it was just how he drew it up. I mean, I know this season hasn't gone exactly how he's just how he's drawn it up, but I mean, they easily walk into the playoffs at this point in time. But do they stand any chance of making any noise?
I mean, there's always a chance. Look at the NFL every week. There's teams that win every week that you don't expect. Every week. Now, obviously, when you get to the playoffs, that kind of tightens the window a little bit.
Right.
Being we win the division, you get a home field game first week.
Right.
That's a huge advantage.
Exactly.
The way it shakes up right now, it's looking probably Cowboys. I mean, there's still weeks. That's not a ideal matchup.
Right.
But is there any team that chokes in primetime outside of the Minnesota Vikings more than the Dallas Cowboys?
This is true.
So, there's always opportunity. Then once you get rolling, once you get that momentum, like I said, our championship season at week 12, everybody said Tampa had no chance.
Right.
And then we got hot. They got rolling. Thing with me is we're still missing our big man, the tight end.
Yeah.
And then our secondary, we were
like
3 of our top 5 guys.
Been doing for you guys lately, though.
For sure. Mm-hmm. But would you can't trust a rookie like you trust a Hall of Famer.
Not at all.
So
Wirfs was a big loss.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. That guy is insane. That the mooses are never recognized, but
at all.
That's a big part of the team.
Very true. Well, let's go from the worst division in football to the best division in football and talk about the NFC East a little bit. We call them the NFC Beast around here. Yeah. No, but is there a chance that all 4 teams in the NFC East make the playoffs this year?
There's always a chance, but the true colors are rising. So, or as maybe they're not rising, maybe they're coming down. So I don't know. I've always said the Giants aren't as good as their record.
We got an easy matchup this week. Easy matchup this week. The Birds coming to town.
Yeah. I mean, you tied Washington, which you should have won that game.
I mean, Washington's playing good football right now as well.
They are, but I'll put it this way. I'll be happy seeing either one of those teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, with the Giants wide receiver position right now, I think it's just going to be really hard for them the next few weeks to make that stretch run. If it ended today, I think they're tied in the running for the wild card spot. But just given some of the competition they're facing right now, I think Washington probably has a better chance to make that jump.
It's a fact that we have no wide receivers right now. We have nobody for Daniel Jones to throw the ball to. Saquon's doing all he can. Our defense is actually playing solid. But when Darius Slayton is our number 1 receiver, I mean, it's tough right now. Sure. It is. Yeah. Definitely have to draft some receivers, look into that in the offseason. But for the rest of the season, it's going to be a grinded out every single game. That's just what we got to face at this point in time. But as far as that division itself, are the Eagles the team to beat right now?
They got to be. I mean, they've passed every test with flying colors.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Cowboys game coming up, first game against the Cowboys, Cooper Rush, that's not the same team.
Right.
So we're going to see, A, what the Cowboys are, and B, if the Eagles, I mean, they don't have any holes. So they got to be the favorites going into it. I would say they're almost the favorites in the league.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they? Are they the favorites in the league?
I mean, it was shocking coming in this year. If you look back not that long ago, we were saying, is Jalen Hurts the future there? And he answered that question loud and clear, I think, to everybody. That guy's an absolute stud.
He is.
You know, they're wondering, can he throw it down the ball? Can he throw it down the field? Does he have accuracy? Yes. The guy's a stud.
Yeah.
He's the future there. I think they know that. He's going to get a huge contract. They're the team to beat. They have the weapons. A.J. Brown's a complete animal. Got the Slim Reaper and Devonta Smith. They have the exact opposite problem with the Giants, right? They got too many weapons, right? Who are they going to feed? The running game stepping up this year. Miles Sanders. They just look phenomenal. I definitely think they're a team to beat. Minnesota, I mean, they're up there record-wise, but they're not the Eagles. The Eagles they can put up enough points any given week. I think they're going to be really hard to stop. And then their defense, obviously.
They got both sides of the ball.
Yeah, true.
So it's not like they're just going out there scoring 40, 50 points a game. And I think that's where, when you go to the other side of the league, you look at the Chiefs, you look at the Bills. Does anybody ever trust the Chiefs? No. You got Mahomes, he keeps you in the game.
Right.
The Bills, the first half of the season, had both sides of the ball. They got banged up. They lose Von Miller, which I believe they just announced he's done for the season. Yep. So you lose a little bit of that bull rush. And when the Eagles come to town, they can score and they can stop you. So I think that's their advantage.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I still think you can never rule out Kansas City. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is just a magician, unless he's playing the Bengals, obviously. Right. But yeah, so to me, they're the favorites right now. It just feels like Josh Allen's making some mistakes. I hate the fact they don't protect him more. The guy's like a battering ram. If I was his coach, I'd be like, please stop trying to act like a running back and just try to stay in the pocket as much as you can. So assuming he can stay healthy, I think that's going to be probably the AFC championship game right there. But, overall, it really just feels like the Eagles. When you watch them, man, they look good. I think the Eagles are the best team in the league right now, and they're the team to beat. But that being said, I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl before the season started. So.
You just keep waiting on the Eagles to fail, and they haven't done it yet. So you got to trust them because they've given you no reason not to.
Facts. Well, you mentioned the Minnesota Vikings a minute ago, and so that brings us straight to the NFC North, right? That's not really any competition in that division at all, right? Minnesota's pretty much running away with it. But my question for you in that division at this point in time, who's the second best team in that division?
Yeah.
Honestly, Lions.
Yeah.
The Lions the last 4 or 5 weeks have been playing as good as anybody in the league.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're second to Kansas City with total points. Points scored per game. So, I mean, their offense is clicking, obviously. It's their, and look at it now. I mean, the Goff trade looks pretty good for them. When that trade originally went through with Stafford, it's like, is this guy just a throw-in? Or and they're trying to make the contracts equal? He looks good. He looks pretty good.
There's really only one team relevant in that division, too. So when you say who's the second best team, it doesn't, they're still not. Record-wise, I don't think anybody outside of Minnesota gets in the playoffs unless somebody just runs the table. Right. I mean, that's really the only option you have.
Yeah, unless Green Bay goes on a 4 or 5 game winning streak here to finish off the season, it's I think obviously Minnesota is the only team going to the playoffs out of that division there. But looking forward, I think it's one of the brightest futures for a division outside of Green Bay, right? I mean, Chicago. I mean, Justin Fields has come on lately. It looks
fun to watch.
Really fun to watch.
But if you're the Lions next year, do you draft a quarterback?
Probably. Yeah.
Early?
You got to, right?
I think so.
I think the second or third round.
Bring him in. Goff hasn't done anything wrong.
Right.
But I don't think he's the guy that takes you to the promised land.
He just doesn't do enough right.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they did the same thing. We were talking about Philly, right? I mean, they drafted Jalen Hurts. They had Carson Wentz. And this is before Carson Wentz kind of, crapped the bed a little bit.
He's Alex Smith, and they got to get their Mahomes.
Yep. Right. You can't have enough good quarterbacks. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance.
True indeed. They definitely have the weapons. I mean, like you guys said, one of the most points in the last couple of weeks, and actually they started the season with one of the most points the first couple weeks. So they just went through a little drought in the middle where they went through a bunch of injuries, and that's pretty much what's stopping Detroit at this point in time.
It's like they're not used to winning, so they got to learn how to win.
True indeed.
And that kind of goes with any sport. You get a bunch of young guys, you get talent. Everybody in the league. Everybody in the league. Yeah. I wasn't going to go there, but that's exactly where I was going. Learning how to win. Why did Tampa win that game on Monday? Because Brady knows how to win.
Exactly.
We should not have won that game.
That was amazing,
but those are the games that and that's why I say if you're in the playoffs, you can't take that away. You can't take that culture. You can't take that confidence away. I mean, this guy's had Brady his whole career. You always think he's going to win.
Right.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the Lions,
that game and you text me back saying never worried, right? You were never worried.
Yeah. You know, other way around, you always think the Lions are going to lose.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to change that culture.
True indeed. True indeed. Well, let's switch it over to the NFC West, right? Big loss for San Francisco. Jimmy goes down, but Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, comes up big and wins the game against Miami nonetheless. My question for you in that division is, what's the biggest surprise in this division? Obviously, we know San Fran is pretty much a lock as a playoff team at this point in time.
They should be.
Usually they are, right? But biggest surprise in this division at this point in time?
I don't see anybody, including myself, that said the Seattle Seahawks were going to be pushing for the division or at worst a playoff spot.
Not at all.
You got Geno,
the reemergence of Geno Smith.
You talk about Reapers. That guy was dead. I mean, he was forgotten about 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, that's got to be the best story in the league. I mean, and honestly, it's great seeing his success too. I mean, the guy's been in the league 11 years, worked hard, been on 4 different teams, and was given a chance. You know, they got to give Pete Carroll props there, right? I saw something in him. Was willing to move on from Russell, and didn't care what the media thought, didn't care what the fans thought. Everyone was questioning Geno, really, and really,
everybody said it was a throwaway year. So just take Geno because you're not trying to win, and then you come out and you win, and again. You get confidence, and those guys are figuring out how to win football games.
Yes, they are.
Winning becomes contagious. Yeah. Yep, for sure.
I think it's because they're doing it heavily on the defensive side of the ball. You know, those young guys, the young talent they drafted this year, Kobe Bryant, they're coming up huge in games. They're really winning Seattle games at the end of games. And then Geno, he's doing what he needs to do. He's not doing anything wrong, I think at this point in time.
But he's pressing, too. He's doing it right. You know, it's not like he's just going out and throwing 20 passes and he's not playing like Mac Jones.
Right.
Dink and dunk, dink and dunk,
well,
dink
and
dunk.
Weapons.
And he can throw it. He's got Lockett who can take the top off. You got DK who, he's a matchup mismatch for anybody.
Right. And I like what Kenneth Walker's doing for him over there, too. I think he turned his ankle this past week, but hopefully they get him back because he could be a big piece for them if they do make the playoffs, right? So, but on the other side, you mentioned the Rams. They have potential to be the worst rebound after a Super Bowl ever.
Right. Usually it's the Super Bowl loser that has the hangover, right?
Right.
You typically don't see that from the Super Bowl winner, and we're seeing it big time here. Across the board.
The only thing you could say is they got their parade.
Right.
And you know what, just as a Giants fan, as a Patriots fan, as any fan you are, how many years are you willing to give up to get that 1 year?
They'd go back and trade it again right now, and so would I, right? Take the championship. But they went all in. They traded draft picks. They got their guys, and when some of those guys get injured, and
they don't have any draft capital for
at all.
the next 2 seasons they have like nothing.
You were hearing about this going into training camps though. Matthew Stafford's elbow hurts, right? There's some warning signs there.
We didn't see Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp going down for them too.
Sure.
So they're battling.
Allen Robinson never really picked up there. Things weren't clicking out of the gate, and I think that just kind of picked up.
It's true, man.
Just going back to the 49ers, I think the news just came out that Jimmy's injury wasn't Liz Frank, so he could be back at the end of the year. So Purdy might just be a two game.
There's still, I think, like 7 to 8 weeks. So they would still have to go. I don't think he's back for the first round. They would still have to get a little bit deep.
You would think they'll make a run, right? They're one of the teams.
Their defense is as good as anybody in the league.
Right.
And if they're going to win games, that's what they're going to win their games on.
Right. All right, but why don't we switch it over to your conference? Let's switch it over to the AFC.
I'm not overlooking the little Mac Jones dig he just threw out there. I didn't think that was necessary at all.
All right, so switching over to the AFC East at this point in time. Looking like at least 3 teams are making the playoffs in that division, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been great for the Patriots this year. You know, going into the season, I remember the first time I was on the show, we were talking about Matt Patricia, some of my initial concerns. You know, having a defensive coordinator call offensive plays, what could go wrong, right? Well, a lot, especially when you're dealing with a rookie quarterback going into his second year where you want to see that jump. You know, got to wonder what Bill was thinking there.
Couldn't tell you.
Poor coaching.
You know, in that case, I agree. I think it was poor coaching, and you know, sometimes he probably overthinks the situation there. But yeah, so you know, Patriots are 6-6. Everyone is either 500 or above. You know, the Jets look really good this year. What a great surprise. I mean, they killed the draft, and then you said, well, can they do something with it? And wow, they have. The defense looks good. They've had some unfortunate injuries, obviously, but Garrett Wilson's an absolute beast. Elijah Moore disappeared this year, but they don't really even need him, right? Garrett Wilson's such a stud. They got the guys like Tyler Conklin stepping up. White certainly looks better than Wilson.
Yeah, he throws the ball.
He does.
He throws the ball.
He makes good decisions too.
He does.
Right.
He does.
So yeah, it's an interesting division. Dolphins. You know, I was concerned with another head coaching change. I think, you know, again, some of my comments in the first time here was, you know, they never have continuity at the coaching position, and I think that's going to bite them this year. Wow. And here we are. Mike McDaniels looks like the coach of the year candidate. You know, they look great. Tyreek Hill, is he going to be able to make it in another offense? Was he a product of, Mahomes and that Kansas City offense? No way. Yeah, he looks great.
The real deal.
Do you think the Dolphins don't slow down when it gets cold?
I don't know. It's hard to say. You know, it's a good question they have historically, but I hate using historical stats on completely different teams, you know.
Right, so, but it's just the style they play.
Yeah.
It's so much run and gun, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
But when you get Buffalo in next week or two, and it's 30 degrees out and there's 6 inches of snow on the ground.
That's what Buffalo wants. That's Buffalo football.
You can't just throw it deep to Tyreek. You can't just dump it off to Waddle. You know, you got to rely on the run game at that point.
It's a really valid point. I'm so impressed with McDaniels. I think he's gonna figure something out, and you know.
And like I said before, I think he was some of the secret sauce in San Francisco.
That's very true.
And
very true.
You know, that man has shown nothing but promise, and I mean, he's passed everybody's expectations. And when you go back and watch the behind-the-scene videos and stuff, and some of the, you know, there was one game they was watching, and it was like on the NFL replay, and he goes, I might just be crazy, but I'm going to throw the ball every time this series. He goes, we're going to throw the ball every time. And it was like 10 straight plays where he threw the ball. And, you know, and it's just like, who thinks like that? So, you know, it's just, he's changing the game.
He's fun to watch, definitely. And, you know, we went from, you know, I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, you know, NFC least, making a joke. It all started by everyone talking about the AFC least. And we were the AFC least for years. The Patriots and nobody. And now, wow, it's one of the best divisions in the league, right? It's a meat grinder.
It is.
It's a tough division to be in right now. And, you know, say what you want about the Pats. I mean, here they are, competitive again. Don't have any wide receivers.
With it being so close, I mean, can you guys make the playoffs this year?
We could, absolutely.
No chance.
No chance.
No respect. No respect. Now, the defense, we've got second-ranked defense on paper right now as far as turnovers and points allowed. We're a bend but don't break defense. It's the offense, right? And Mac, you saw him going nuts on Patricia the last game he played. Let me throw the ball down the field. Greg mentioned it earlier. It's a valid dig. You know, we're doing this dink and dunk stuff, not because Matt can't throw the ball, but because I don't think we have creative play calling, right?
He threw the ball in Bama, so we know he can throw it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, the guy's a winner, right? So just got to give him a chance. And, you know, I honestly was hoping that McDaniels with the Raiders was going to get fired and we can get our offensive coordinator back. But, yeah, that didn't happen. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a couple more years for the Patriots. You know, hoping this year we can at least determine, is Mac our guy? And unfortunately, I don't think we really answered that. And it's not really his fault, right?
I almost feel like the Giants and Patriots are almost in the same
situation. I think it's a Jones thing, isn't it? Yeah. It's a Jones thing. Yeah, we got to figure that out. But, you know, Billy Zappi looked good in the time he's been in there. So, but no, very exciting division. Really excited to see where it goes. You know, beginning to get that rivalry with the Bills. I'm kind of, you know, rooting for my Pats and anyone who's playing the Bills at this point. So.
True indeed. Yeah. Going from the best division in the AFC, let's go to what we thought was supposed to be the best division in the AFC, and that's the West, right? Kansas City's pretty much leaving them behind, right? Only one that has an outside shot at making the playoffs at this point in time is the Chargers. I mean, talk to me about this division, and how disappointing it really is at this point in time.
I think that's the perfect word, is disappointing. Coming into the season, like I said, you always know KC's going to be KC.
Right.
the Raiders go out and make a splash, get Devontae. Jacobs is playing his best football of his career.
He is. He's playing
How
great.
they're not
That's
winning
great.
games, it's just
Couldn't tell
it's
you.
the same thing. They just can't win a game. They don't. In close games,
culture.
they're starting to turn the ship a little bit, but it's too late.
Is
Denver,
Derek Carr the guy?
I'd have him over Daniel Jones. Well, not a dig at you, but when you're talking about these mid-tier guys, Carr, he's not really
I don't know.
losing.
You give Daniel Jones Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Hey,
So
give Daniel Jones a Devontae Adams, please.
Please, whoever's listening.
right.
Yeah.
So, but then I mean, you look at it and you go back to LA, and it's like every year you think that they're going to be a good team. They have promise. They go out, they win 10 games, and then they come one game short of the playoffs, or they get to the playoffs and they get bounced.
I mean, their top 2 receivers are probably the most injury-prone receivers in
For
the
sure.
league.
For
So
sure.
they have problems staying healthy all the
Yeah,
time as
I got
well.
boomer bust Mike Williams, and trust me, I got him on my fantasy team, so I feel that pain quite a
Yep.
bit. But yeah, he's got the ankle injury right now. You had Allen, who, guy's a marvel at his age, but he struggles with hamstring injuries all year. Just got healthy, he's looking good. But you expected that jump from Herbert this year, and he's looked good, but he's always playing from behind, right? It just seems like they're never putting themselves in the right position, and they got a great defense. They have weapons, right? So that really, you go back and you look at the coaching. You're like, okay, so they're not coaching well enough to put them in positions to succeed. But yeah, like Greg said, I mean, KC, they always seem to figure it out.
Right.
And that's the opposite side of that coin, right? It's great coaching.
Right.
You get rid of Tyreek Hill, you get Juju, you get Valdez Scantling, and they don't skip a beat, right? And I think Mahomes said it at the beginning of the year. He's like, we're not going to have one guy with 1,500 yards. We're going to have a bunch of guys with 600 yards, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Then you got probably the worst coach in the league in Denver. I mean, does this
the
guy
fact that
last?
he's still
Does he
there.
last?
That was Big J Super Bowl pick.
Was
Sorry, Big J. No. Yeah. But what happened in Denver? Complete meltdown, right?
Russ is cooking is well done.
Russ is cooking cereal. Yeah, he's not cooking much.
I don't know. I don't think anybody thought they would be terrible.
Right.
I'm not saying they were going to go out there and win the Super Bowl.
They just expected Russ to come over there and be Superman,
Yeah.
right?
And you're seeing a lot of the backdoor comments from guys that play with Russell, and maybe Russell is one guy on camera and one guy in the locker room.
This is true.
And it sounds, even you're starting to see it now, that, maybe he's not the squeaky guy that he portrays to be.
Yep.
And I don't think the team's playing for him. Right. And I think that's why Seattle was laughing as they walked out the door and got a little bit back for him.
Yeah, I was definitely one of the ones that, saw Judy there, saw Sutton there, and thinking of, Russ Wilson and seeing those images of him breaking out of the pocket and throwing those bombs.
Oh, you ate the bait?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You ate the bait?
100%. I was like, man, this is going to be a big deal over here. And wow, yeah, quite the opposite. But what I will say is it seems like the Coach Hackett there, he's been trying to change the style of play for Russ, trying to keep him in the pocket, trying to keep him less mobile. And
that's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
At all.
And when they have won games, when they've been successful, you see Russ scrambling again, getting outside the pocket, doing what he does best.
That's
right?
what you got to let guys be who they are.
Correct.
He got to where he was at for a reason. You can't just reinvent the wheel
100%.
10 years into a career.
Agreed. All right. But you mentioned scrambling out of the pocket. All right. We got a quarterback that does, but he's down.
Mm-hmm.
Switch it over to the AFC North. Lamar Jackson goes down for those Baltimore Ravens. All right. Let's talk about this division. How does that injury affect this division at this point in time? Is Cincy the team to beat in that division now?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Cincy, I think, was the team to beat before that. But Huntley coming in is, I don't think it's as big a downgrade as people may think.
Really?
Lamar is Lamar, and Lamar's going to make that 1 or 2 plays a game that nobody else in the league can do. But Huntley, when he replaced him last year, there wasn't a whole lot of fall off.
Looked really good. Yeah,
So-
he's got to be one of the better backups in the league for sure.
And they play the same game.
Exactly.
So
He's
it's
mobile,
not,
just like him.
there's a reason why he's their backup. You know,
And
and,
they don't have to change the playbook.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Steelers are God, I mean, they're just
young,
struggling.
They're just
But
young.
it's good coaching, though. I mean, Tomlin's always got them. You know, you watch him early on, you're like, man, are they going to win 2 or 3 games this year? But then he's sort of like Belichick, where he uses some of those first 5 games as preseason games, right? Development, picking who he can trust the rest of the season.
Right.
And they always seem to be around 500 this time.
But that goes
of
to
year.
quarterback too.
Sure.
If you don't have a quarterback in this league, you're not going to succeed.
But at least he identified that early on and made the switch.
He did,
right?
but he's still.
So he's got Pickett in there.
Tomlin, I love the guy, and I think he's done overachieved, especially the last couple of years, because Ben really should have retired 2 or 3 years ago. But when you take, and this isn't just a jab at you, but when you take Brady out of the situation, when you take Roethlisberger out of the situation, those teams struggle mightily afterwards.
Start over.
As they should, sure.
Yeah.
You got to rebuild a little bit,
Right.
but not going down to 1-2 wins that's a huge victory, right? You look at teams like Detroit, right? I mean, some teams scramble to win a game or two every year when they don't have a quarterback, and to get a new quarterback, to get a rookie, and to be competitive in 6 games is pretty solid.
Granted, they got the best quarterback in the class, right? So Kenny Pickett, I think he's doing well for him. I think he's got a bright future in Pittsburgh for sure.
Well, they got the Pickett to Pickens connection, which is working well, right? So they definitely got a steal and Pickens later in that draft. So
he's an alpha for sure.
Yeah,
sure. And the last team in that division, how about them Cleveland Browns? Got Deshaun Watson back this week.
We did, because I didn't see much of him last week.
You must have had him on your fantasy team.
No. I'm not touching Watson, and that's been my joke all season. So I'm not touching that man this year. Yeah. He's you can't take 2 years off and just jump back in, and only Geno Smith can do that. So
apparently
he's no Geno Smith.
True indeed.
Yeah. Now they got they got Amari Cooper there. They got Chubb's having the best season of his career.
Right.
Kareem Hunt, they got weapons,
I mean, but they're 5-7.
Yeah,
they
it's
can
almost
possibly sneak into the playoffs.
Maybe.
Is it?
I mean,
far-fetched?
There's a lot of teams that are above them that would have to fall for them to make up. Now they should have more wins than what they have. I mean, they should have one less. We should have beat them.
Right.
But I feel like when you talk about teams versus a record, I don't feel like they're a 5-7 team.
There's Cincy and Baltimore, and that's it in that division.
Okay, so who wins this division then? How about that?
I think Cincy.
Cincy, I think they're coming on at the right time.
Right.
They kind of struggled out of the gates.
Right.
They probably wish they could have got a couple of those games back, because they're not going to vie for home field, because they just can't jump Buffalo and Kansas City, who actually now you're looking, I believe, have the same record.
Right.
And I don't know the whole tiebreaker, but Buffalo did beat them head to head.
True indeed.
So if that's a tiebreaker, I don't think anybody wants to go to Buffalo when it's.
Nobody wants to
go.
Listen,
they had a statement game last week. You beat the Chiefs, and now you get Mixon back. You get Chase is. This will be his second game back healthy, so they're humming at the right time. They're getting some confidence. They definitely sputtered out of the gate to start the season.
So how about this? So now that they beat the Kansas City Chiefs last week, are they the team to beat in the AFC?
No,
I don't think so.
I still think it's Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had them play tonight, I'd take the Chiefs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though Mahomes hasn't beat Burrow yet.
Right. They got his number, and they've figured out how to play against that team, and they've shown it now 2 games in a row that they can control the game. But I still give me Buffalo. Allen needs to quit trying to be Superman and just he's kind of got
seriously get himself.
He's kind of got the Mahomes syndrome from the first couple of years.
Right.
You don't have to hit a big play every time you have the ball. There's nothing wrong with taking a 10-play drive down the field.
And he started the season that way, and it seems like as the season's progressed, he's really let it loose, and it's just costing him.
And that's those little mistakes that and you can't afford that in the playoffs.
I guess that's why they started the season so hot. He was playing the best football they could play. All right, but last but not least, we got the AFC South. I mean, I guess they are the least, right? Outside of Tennessee, they're not very competitive at this point in time. But does anything in that division excite you? I mean, does Tennessee possibly winning this year?
I mean, Tennessee is always the most overachieving team.
Yeah. Right. And that goes back to coaching
nobody gets
again.
excited.
Vrabel's
Nobody
a great coach.
even thinks about them. And then you look at their record, and they're the 1 seed last year.
Right. I think it's because of their division. Like, seriously.
Yeah, but they were still 1 seed in the conference. Like, how do you even put that? How do you fathom that? Nobody picks them. Nobody likes them. Every week they're saying they're going to beat the Eagles, And it's just like,
But I think when you're talking about exciting teams, they might have a better record right now. They might go further this year. Jacksonville's exciting me. You know, I mean, it looks like they made the right decision at quarterback. They've got some weapons down there. Their defense is looking good.
And coaching, because if you had, this is really Trevor's first year.
It is.
That idiot they had last year. You know,
experiment.
You know, ever since his days at Florida, and then I don't have a lot good to say.
Yeah, Jacksonville's got to be excited about their future. Going back to Tennessee, you know, it looks like Malik isn't the guy that they, you know, the quarterback they drafted this year. So, you know, they're going back to the drawing board too, because Tannehill, you know, is this his last year? I think it's the last year of his contract, right? So I think they're back to the drawing board on who's going to fill that spot.
I don't think Houston is attempting to win football games.
Right. No, I mean they're
Davis Mills starting this week.
You know.
Is he back?
Yeah, he's back this week.
Yeah. Which, right?
I mean, hey. I mean,
even Brandon Cooks didn't want to play anymore. So can we just write it in?
I mean, when does Brandon Cooks ever play a whole season? Like, seriously.
Yeah. Well, he had 1,000 yards every year for the last 8 years going into this season. So I mean, the guy's been consistent. But you know, you almost get traded away from the worst team in the NFL, and then you find out you're still there. That's pretty deflating. He's like,
very true. Very true.
Yeah, the tough time.
And how about Indy? Pretty underachieving as well, right?
Wow.
I mean, I thought
that's a shocking situation. That's got to be like second to the Rams, the most shocking record right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they've already fired their coach.
Yeah, because I mean, nobody thought Matt Ryan. He's old. He's at the end of his career.
Right.
But he had to be an upgrade from Wentz.
We thought.
You thought.
Sure.
And again, coaching. Everywhere you turn, when you look at these, there's a reason why they fired their coach in the middle of the year.
Right.
And you can say what you want about Jeff Saturday. No, he's not the guy on paper. He's not. But he can get you, just watching him on ESPN, he get you fired up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can only imagine.
He gives you that vibe, that culture. You know, he gives them the motivation they need.
Well, he's been in the trenches. And I mean, one of the strengths of Indy going into the season was their offensive line, right? So that's where they're struggling most. Ryan's getting sacked like crazy. Jonathan Taylor wasn't having a great start to the season. So you bring in a guy who's been in the trenches, can speak that language. And, you know, he had the Midas touch there the first couple games. And then,
it makes sense.
Yeah. Now they're the Colts again. But that's been a horrific thing to watch this year for them. For sure.
True indeed.
Yeah.
True indeed. All right, gentlemen. Well, I appreciate you helping us catch us up on a lot of NFL action. You know, get us JV Sports World back to where we need to be. All right, man. But that's all the time we got for today.
All right.
Thanks
for having
me. Appreciate you coming back for another one.
Always.
Good luck to them Bucks this year.
Yep.
And Patriot Bling, my man John. Thanks for coming back, brother.
Yes, sir.
Good job, man.
And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check us out at sportjv.com. Support the merch. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you haven't yet, mash that button on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And got a quote for you guys. This time from Tom Brady. Just how we drew it up, guys. Thank you guys for watching.